Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maymintah. If you don't know, now you know. So before you watch this video, do not forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you will know when I upload a video. So obviously by the title, you know what I'm going to speak about today, which is me having the coronavirus, or maybe I don't have it anymore. You'll understand my confusion while you're listening to what I have to say. So I will be talking about how I got the virus, my symptoms, my recovery, and just like my overall experience with like the NHS and just my mental state and all of that. So how did I get the virus? This is a little bit of a story and I'll try and explain it as concise as possible. So I live with my boyfriend, and I had a family member staying with us, and she's a key worker, and she is in her mid-50s, almost 60s actually, and she works for the NHS. So basically she comes in contact with a lot of people who are possibly at risk of having COVID-19. So I was self-quarantining as usual, and my boyfriend as well, and she was going to work because obviously we need our NHS workers, and shout out to you guys. So she came home one day and she said that she was tired, and I was like, oh yeah, then take a rest. And she was like, yeah, let me just rest for 2 days and then I'll get back to work. And it was all right. So after 2 days, she just said, actually, I'm not feeling well, and she stopped eating. She didn't have any appetite. She was just in bed all day, and she wasn't like coughing, she wasn't feverish, nothing like that. The only thing that she was saying is that she had a cold, she felt a cold in her chest. The reason why I'm saying that is because it's important to know that everyone has different type of symptoms. So she kept on complaining for about 3 to 4 days, and then I think on her 5th day being sick or so, or 4th day, I'm not sure anymore, I woke up with a terrible headache, like a terrible headache. I felt like someone was just like stabbing me in my brains or in my head. It was so weird. I couldn't even move my head to like to the right or the left. So I was like, okay, this is just a migraine because my eyes were hurting. The light was just disturbing me. So I was thinking, okay, I woke up with a migraine. That's sad, but it is what it is. But then I immediately felt very weak. I felt like my muscles were melting and it was so heavy. So I felt this type of tiredness that I did not understand, because just so you know, I'm anemic, so feeling tired for me is like an everyday thing. So I'm used to feeling tired and feeling fainty and stuff like that. So it wasn't really scaring me at first, but then when I got up, I just knew something was wrong. So I took a shower afterwards to feel refreshed in a way, because I'm a firm believer that showers can make you feel better. However, I came out of the shower and I did not feel good. So basically, fast forward, my family member was still sick and I became sicker. Day 2 for me was horrible because I got all the symptoms. I started coughing, I started having a fever, my headache was still there. All of it just came straight at me, and I was just sick immediately, and I was so tired. It was terrible. And I want you to understand, the cough that you get is really dry, so you easily get a lot of chest pain. So on day 3, I got worse and I had shortness of breath. Having shortness of breath is really scary, you guys. So I think on day 3, when I had my shortness of breath, I was having this long coughing episode. I was just coughing, my chest was burning, I was like coughing my lungs out, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. I felt like I needed oxygen like ASAP. So I tried to get some fresh air, but like I felt better, but I was still breathing weirdly. And I thought, okay, let me just, you know, keep on taking whatever I'm taking, like my medication and my teas and whatever. And I just thought, okay, fine. So I went back to bed, and all you can do around that period is sleep because you're constantly tired and you're in pain. So day 4 was so weird. My family member that said she didn't feel well, so she had to go to the hospital. So when she went to the hospital, they confirmed that she had COVID-19, and then I knew instantly that I had it as well. The thing was, I think we were both in denial of thinking it was coronavirus, because we were like, nah, that's not possible. And I know it's that African mentality, I know it's so bad, but I want you to know that is completely different from having the flu, because a lot of people say it feels like the flu. However, I do not agree with it, because I think, like, I'm 25, I've had the flu multiple times, and I know how I feel when I have the flu, and it's the complete opposite. I feel 10 times worse. So when she told me that, I was like very emotional about it, because, you know, based on what the media is saying, it's like once you have coronavirus, obviously you just think of death. And it was hurting me, because then she was in the hospital and she means a lot to me, so I was so worried. And so that day I just, you know, panicked. Then I went to bed and I started coughing again, and I had that shortness of breath, and again I couldn't breathe. And that was the day, guys, I actually thought I was gonna die. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm thinking about it, and it makes me so sad, because honestly, like, when you think you're gonna die, I don't know, there's just something that happens in your head. Like, I was standing at the window because I took all the little energy that I still had to get out of bed and open my window for some fresh air. But my boyfriend was looking at me and I was crying. I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, I was so sad. And that's when it hit me, and I understood that coronavirus is real. It was like being underwater for way too long. It was so scary. So that night I went to bed and I just couldn't sleep. I didn't even want to sleep, because I thought I would die in my sleep. I closed my eyes throughout the night, but I wasn't really sleeping. So then I was just checking up on my family member, and she was not feeling fine as well. And I remember one time she said, when she came back from the hospital, like, this is honestly a matter of life and death. And it kind of hurt me, because, you know, she's older and I was just so worried. But she was more worried about me, because I had all the extreme symptoms. So guys, from day 3 to day 5 was really horrible for me. And then from day 4 I had another symptom, which is loss of smell. So basically I couldn't smell anything. It was the weirdest thing I experienced, because I started like smelling things that I knew had a very strong scent, such as apple cider vinegar. So I just took a ball and like stick it up my nose basically, and I was just like a maniac, and I couldn't smell anything. So I started taking spices just to, you know, figure out, am I going crazy, what's going on. And the weirdest thing, I told my boyfriend, like, I want to smell your armpit, like, let me smell your armpit. So I did, and nothing was there. So I freaked out, and I called NHS, and I told them, listen, I just want to get tested. I'm feeling so bad, so I just want to get tested as soon as possible. And they told me, I'm sorry, but we can't test you right now, because we're only testing key workers, so NHS staff. And I was like, okay. But I was living with someone who has the coronavirus, like, she tested positive, and she was like, yeah, it's true, but just stay home, self-isolate, self-quarantine, and after 14 days, if you don't get better, or if your symptoms are still extreme, just call us back, and then we would know what to do. And I was like, okay, fine. But day 5 was the toughest day for me, because I was coughing, I was in pain, I was weak, I just broke down mentally. And all I have to say is that it's really not worth it going outside, because it's not only hard physically but also emotionally, because all you think about is this virus has killed a lot of people, even though I read that 80% of the people who contract the virus have mild symptoms. So I felt like I was part of that 80%, so that reassured me a bit and, you know, calmed me a bit down. But it was still really hard. Like, coughing was so painful. I was tasting blood, but no blood was coming out of my mouth. I was tasting metal. It was weird. So mentally I was down. So my family member came out of the hospital. She was getting better, but she was still positive actually. And she stayed somewhere else, of course, to self-quarantine. Well, self-isolate is the right word. And yeah, that's about it. So now I'm at day 17. So I would say I do not have the symptoms as much. I cough once in a while, but I've been taking all my medication. So obviously you want to know what I've been taking. While I was like really sick, at first I was like, I'm not taking any medication, I will feel better. But trust me, you need a paracetamol, or I took a cocodamol because my chest was burning from the cough. You know, it's a dry cough, so it really affects your chest. And that I was taking that. Then of course all the vitamins I could take. I'm anemic, so my iron tablets. Then, you know, those homemade remedies such as garlic, lemon, ginger in hot water, the mixture with turmeric, all of that. So that kind of helped. And I also, because I'm still suffering from my cough, this is I have it here on my table. So this is they call it bitter cola. It's a Nigerian thing, and then you just like peel it off, and then you chew it, you eat it. It actually really helps the cough. It's really bitter though, so if you do want to try it, I'm just warning you. And basically that's about it. So if you want to know how I feel right now, I feel much better. I am so glad that I survived this in a way, and I want you to understand that coronavirus comes to people in, you know, different ways. You could be someone who's infected but doesn't show any symptoms. You could be someone who just has mild symptoms, and sadly enough, you could be someone who's, you know, going through it and has to end up in the hospital, and which is really sad, because I'm always thinking like if you end up in the hospital you might die. So that's a thought that I always had, but luckily my family member is alive and well. And I want to encourage you guys to stay home, because it's really not worth it. I wouldn't wish it on anybody how I felt for that week. It was horrible, not only physically but mentally, as I said. So when they tell you to stay home, it's not that they want to lock you up in your home or imprison you. Basically, it's because it's necessary. You do not want to get this virus, trust me. So I currently do have my sense of smell back. I can smell certain things, but to be honest, like sometimes I can't. So I think it's coming back, but it's not completely there. I can smell certain things, but it's not as strong as it should be. So yeah, it's kind of weird. I miss smelling stuff. And yeah, my experience with the NHS, for the people who are going through this, like, calling the NHS, they will help you in a way, but they can't at the same time if it's not as severe. So just try to stay home for those 14 days and just like be sick and hopefully get better. And I hope it won't get worse, so that you don't have to go to the hospital. Just know that they're doing their best, the people of the NHS, so, you know, shout out to them. But for me, it's just sad that I couldn't get tested, because that was just my main thing. But it was quite obvious that I had it. And as well, on the phone they told me, yeah, you most likely have it. Like, there's 99% that you have it. But to be honest, like, I don't think they're doctors, so I wasn't taking their word for it completely, but they know what they're telling me. So yeah. So guys, this was basically my experience. If you have any questions, just let me know in the description box. I'd like to have a conversation about it, because for me it's really important to know and understand the seriousness of it all. And yeah, see you in my next video, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye.